Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of Hutcast, Mr. Tim Hutner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post. Welcome to Hutcast. Today on 7/31/2022, we have remotely, not almost in our studio, but remotely, Priscilla Romans with Graith Care, and she is with us from Texas. We're going to have a conversation about, you know us. We're going to have that conversation, and hopefully you tune in and we get some good intel. So stand by. Priscilla will be with us in just one moment.
Need a quick, healthy boost to start your day? Try Superfuel. Superfuel by Casmo is loaded with vitamins and healthy ingredients that will give you a quick, healthy boost. Make Superfuel a great-tasting, low-calorie addition to your daily regimen. Order Superfuel at www.superfuel.me or call 833-FUEL-X12, FUEL-X12, or 833-383-5912, Superfuel.
Welcome to Hutcast, and it's glorious Sunday afternoon, 7/31/22. Priscilla is in our studio. Well, in spirit, she's in our studio, but she is live from Texas on the phone, and she's going to give us some information on her company, what she does and what she does for people out in the world. I believe it's quite a godsend for people to have this kind of service, and therefore I'm going to introduce her right now. Priscilla, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with us. Hello, how are you?
Hi, and Priscilla, can we start out with just some basic stuff about you? Tell us what you do. Tell us where you're from.
So my name's Priscilla Romans. I was born and raised in Illinois, actually, and we left that state, headed to Texas in 2017, and I was born and raised in a conservative home, and just grew up watching my parents. My dad's a minister, my mom's a nurse, and about all of us in our family were nurses or ministers, and there's just something about caring for other people. And I've worked as a nurse in the corporate healthcare system for many, many years as an RN, and I've done lots of different leadership roles as well, whether it's in the hospital, outside of the hospital, for state governments, for waste, fraud, and abuse, for the insurance company. And I always felt in my journey there was something missing for real people that were struggling in the healthcare system. So many times I wanted to tell them, hey, make sure you get this done while you're at the office, or don't ask for this, make sure the doctor writes this order so you can get that done. Because there's so many things that people don't realize what they can do in the healthcare system to make sure they move their healthcare forward. And so I got frustrated, worked in the corporate world, and I decided that God's given me enough talent to build a business. And so I built Graith Care in March of 2020. Out of all the months and all the years, that's when I launched. And it was the beginning of the pandemic, of course. We didn't know what, here late in 2022 was going to look like with all the mandates, vaccine injuries, hospitalizations with the bad protocols. So God definitely must have knew more than I did at that time. Of course, God always kind of puts those things in front of us, and He never gives us something we can't handle. So I started out doing this on my own, and it started getting really busy where I could no longer handle every single phone call that would come my way. And so now I have a team of advocates all throughout the state and internationally. And even within this last year, we have served people in 44 states with our services, and now even internationally, Canada, Australia. We've gotten calls from Spain, Athens, Greece, South Africa. And what's really interesting to me is the need is all the same. People are frustrated. They don't trust the healthcare system that they have been in for years. They're frustrated with insurance costs and the inflation of things that don't even get covered, but they really do need for their healthcare. So it's getting pretty tense out there, and I just didn't realize what this was going to evolve to. And every single day we get different calls in different areas of the globe, and people are just fed up with what they've been told. They feel like they've been lied to. So Graith Care has a team of advocates, and we go to work for whatever that need is. They call us, text us, or they enroll online on our website, and they tell us, hey, I'm a mom, I've got kids, I'm worried about the school vaccinations coming up. I'm a mom, I'm pregnant, my doctor's been really pushing me to go get the vaccine, I don't want to go get that. What can I do? I'm worried about what happens when I go into the hospital and have my baby. What will they do? Will they force me to get a PCR test? We got seniors that have been holding off from going to get a procedure that they really needed to get done because they're afraid of what's going to happen when they're under anesthesia. These are real questions we get every single day. And my goal and my team's goal is to ease their concerns. We hook them up with an advocate that best fits their need, and then we go to work and help them navigate the system.
So let's paint a picture here. We're not talking just seniors. We're talking everybody?
Everybody. Any problem. We've seen it all from neonatal intensive care babies that were just born and separated because their mother was COVID positive and they needed an advocate, or a gentleman in the hospital and they're trying to push the remdesivir COVID protocol, or somebody that is planning to go get a hip procedure, but they are scared because they don't want to go get a blood transfusion and get blood from a vaccinated person. The spectrum of issues is so widespread. That's why I have to have a full team of professional advocates with different strengths. So we've got pediatric advocates, seniors. We have some that specialize in holistic alternative options. We just say we don't care what the healthcare need is. We want to go find solutions for people and make sure we partner with them to really help them feel more comfortable about the next steps they have to make.
But isn't that the doctors and the hospital's responsibility to have an advocate there for us?
Well, you would think, and they do have advocates in these healthcare systems, but I will tell you, every single one of those advocates works for the business of the healthcare system. So you're going to get whatever the system protocol and policies are going to give. They have to defend those protocols. They don't defend the patient. We know that because of all the ethics meetings that we've had to go in to represent our clients. Very important to make sure you have an independent advocate that's representing you and not the healthcare system. Does that make sense?
It does, but what's ringing my bell here is that if the doctors have a hold harmless, a do no harm in their ethics, code of ethics, and we have to hire a person like you or a company or an organization to go back and say, hey, we want to make sure you're doing your job, isn't there just tons of litigation about this, or what's going on?
Well, look, there's, let's put it this way. There's some doctors out there that say they're physicians and they have this ethical code, but I'm going to tell you, some of them don't even ask the next question in terms of, let's say, for example, a person goes to the doctor. They say, doctor, I've had this pain for weeks. I feel dizzy. I've been fatigued. All these things that are going on with this one person. The doctor goes, okay, well, let's go get some tests done. Let's take some labs. Let's go run all of those tests and see how that works, right? The doctor could diagnose them with lots of different things, but I'm going to tell you there are so many misdiagnoses because the physician wants to give them a diagnosis, which oftentimes makes the patient feel better, but it never addresses the root cause. And what they're doing is they're putting a Band-Aid on things. They never talk about nutrition. They never talk about the 10 different pharmaceutical medications they're on that could actually be causing those problems. And what happens is that the physician is not going the extra step. We want the patient and the family to go the next step. So they have to start taking some of their own healthcare needs into their own hands. And that's where the advocate helps them put together those questions. Helps saying, you know what, you've had this problem for 10 years. This doctor hasn't done anything for you in 10 years. Maybe we should find you a new doctor. Maybe there's some different questions we need to ask them and push them on, because they put patients into buckets. Chronic, anxiety, they're anxious, let's give them an antipsychotic, let's give them sleeping medications, let's give them narcotics. Let's just label them as chronic. You're going to live like this for the rest of your life. That is the most miserable sentence to everybody. And what we want people to know is there are more solutions. They're oftentimes just not being told because that physician just doesn't know any other options but what they've been taught in medical school. Does that help?
Yes, it does. I'm still perplexed on when my dad was dying in his bed. They had this advocate from the hospital to try and ease you through things. It wasn't a private one. It was actually from the hospital. But it was more of a, how can we get this done? Let's not, drag this out type of deal. And that's what kind of got me on this. You guys, your job is to step in here and say, hold the phone. We're going to do things a little differently. Is that, am I getting that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because here's what we know. When I help run population health programs in the big healthcare system, one of the drivers, they got paid from an accountable care organization. This was through Medicare. Okay, Medicare would pay hospitals to keep patients out of the hospital within that 30-day range. Well, there was a moderate and a high-risk population, and typically it's those patients that are always going back to the hospital multiple times. Then they're discharged home, they come back to the hospital for the same thing. Well, what happens often on discharge is the doctor misses ordering home health, misses certain things in between, doesn't tell the patient all the adverse reactions of the medications, or just plain just discharges them too soon, too early, before things are actually taken care of. So it's important for an advocate to say, you know what, actually their pain is not resolved. They still have questions as to the next steps, and we shouldn't be going home without a safe discharge plan. Now, in today's world, everybody just wants to get the heck out of every hospital because they're afraid of all these COVID protocols. So that has changed dramatically in terms of people just being scared of these protocols. And they should be, I would say they should be alarmed and scared if they're going in there without an advocate, because not only do they just have remdesivir, there's a lot of other issues that happen that shouldn't be happening from the start, right? They don't give the right steroid dose. They don't even offer bumescidide, which is a nebulizer. There's things that you can advocate for yourself, or we advocate for the client, so they get those things early on so we don't drag out their hospital stay. So there's the great thing about having an advocate is you've got somebody that is asking the questions that you can't ask for yourself because you're stressed, you're not feeling good, you're anxious and overwhelmed, and oftentimes you don't even know the right questions to ask.
Sure, we're not educated in that field.
Yeah. Or I tell clients like this, I say, a great example of this is if you have a problem with your car's not working for some reason, you want to go to a really great mechanic, right? You're like, I want to go to the mechanic that knows the ins and outs. They're not going to, screw me over on the price and start adding all these other issues. And before you know it, I'm getting a full new car makeover, right? For things I didn't even know that was wrong. Well, sometimes people feel like that in the healthcare system because they go, I don't want them to do unnecessary tests. I just want to get to the root cause, and I want to start feeling better. I want to get back home. We want to advocate for people so they have all the information up front. They know all of the alternatives, all of the traditional methods, and they get to decide. Oftentimes, most physicians that you were talking about that have that do no harm, they only know the allopathic mindset. That's how they were taught from the Rockefeller, medical school industry. That's how they were taught.
Okay.
So we know in advocacy, we know there's a lot more options outside of the traditional healthcare. And I always like to approach it as, I don't believe that it's all like natural. I believe there's some great traditional things that people can do. The problem I have is the fact that oftentimes the physicians aren't explaining all of their options up front. So take for example, a cancer diagnosis. So somebody gets diagnosed with a new cancer diagnosis. The physician sends them, they go to the oncologist. Oncologist says, well, yep, there's usually 3 options for this. Here's usually either surgery if you're a candidate, radiation, or chemo. Well, we know, and a lot of other people know this now because they're becoming more educated, that there's a lot of great natural remedies that are very supportive of the body when your immune system is being completely attacked, because the cancer is at that cellular level, and we need to address that from an immune perspective.
Sure.
So it's not that the chemo or radiation may not be a good fit for them. They might need a combination with alternative treatment, right? High dosing of vitamin C, maybe. Maybe they need to change their nutritional habits, because oftentimes those oncologists will go, now with radiation and chemo, you're going to probably start losing a lot of weight. I want you to go get fattened up, eat every dessert that you could possibly get your hands on. You can eat whatever you want. Well, sugar is not a great thing for when you have a diagnosis of an advanced disease, any advanced disease. Sugar likes that environment. Sugar, that's not good. So we should be talking about the healthier state of the body, and these doctors are not talking about that. We hear that all the time, and we ask those questions. So did your doctor tell you about this? And they go, no, I didn't know I could go get that done. Like, I could go get vitamin C and an IV. We said, yeah, that's an option.
Sure.
You want to know about that option? People don't even know the very basics. And it's very important that we educate them so they can then do those things. They should have every option available to them. It's their life. And why get half of the information when you can get all of the information?
Okay. Let's pump the brakes a little bit here. Great speech, by the way. I absolutely loved it. Now, here's what's kind of running around in my head. We have to pay someone, in your services for hire, I would imagine, correct?
Yep. It is an out-of-pocket expense. Correct.
We have to pay someone to trust someone so that someone we can trust, which we're already paying, is part of our healthcare provider's benefits and our fee to watch someone who's watching our back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a tragedy, because honestly, there should be no need for an advocacy business. I was a nurse. I worked at the bedside, and we always were trained to advocate for our patients. But I will tell you, that is not happening today. They don't advocate. Sometimes they don't even show up in time, and the patient's on the floor because they don't have enough time to maybe do whatever for the patient. I mean, the real tragedy here is that the American people and across the globe has lost trust in the healthcare system, and that's why a service like Graith Care is changing things, because we're demanding better answers.
Right.
We're not just saying yes to everything.
Just nod our head and take it the way it is.
That's right.
Well, I tell you what, we got to take a break here, 17:07 into the first section. Let's come back and talk about how this gets set up. What's the vernacular on how we call, we set up, my head's still sideways about this. I got to pay someone to watch someone I'm paying who's watching me. I'm still on that. And I'm trying to get past it, so you're going to have to help me with that. So can we catch this in the next segment?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, podcast 1737 into this segment. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back momentarily. Now a word from our sponsors. Today's sponsor in part by Excel Roofing. Excel Roofing, they do it all. Roofs, siding, framing. You need a house? Give Excel a call. I've used these guys personally in the past, have a professional crew. They're conscious of your job, and they want to produce the finest quality of craftsmanship available. Excel Roofing, 763-712-0500. 763-712-0757. Again, 763-712-0757. Excel Roofing, Dayton, Minnesota. Welcome back to Hutcast 73122. A very special guest on the phone today, and I believe she's doing the Lord's work. I'm not much of a religious guy, but I'll tell you what, sometimes you just got to pay attention to what's around you, and I'm paying attention. So welcome back to the show. When I left off in the last segment, we were going to talk about how does this get started? Someone's sick, someone's ill, someone needs some professional care, and they don't believe they're getting the right one, so they call you. Where does that start?
Yeah, so we make it really simple. So there's a couple ways people can reach out to see if they can get their own personal advocate. And there's a number they can write down. It's 469-864-7149. Or they can go to Graith Care. That's GRAITH Care, CARE.com. And there's an enroll now right online that they click. They go ahead and just put some of their easy demographic information. They click what type of advocacy need they might have. We have over 40 listed. We have people that pick like 10 of those, actually, because they have so many different needs. And then our intake specialist will call them once they do that enroll now, and we'll talk with them before they get all set up, just to make sure they understand the services. We answer all their questions up front, and then we get going to work on their case. And we're taking clients in from all over the states, and even internationally. We have an international advocate that knows all of those great culture competencies from across the pond. And it's important that people understand what rights do they have, be totally informed about their next steps with whatever their healthcare situation might be. It is an out-of-pocket service. All of our pricing is online as well. But typically what we recommend is, if they're not for sure about the services, the one, just call us and say, hey, do you have an advocate that can help me find a better doctor? Do you have some people will call and say, can you write me a prescription? Well, we're not physicians, and we don't diagnose. A lot of us within the Graith Care team, we have professional registered nurse backgrounds, occupational or physical therapy backgrounds, more of a pharmaceutical type background, alternative holistic. We have a full team of advocates with different various backgrounds, so that way we can meet the need of whoever is calling in. And people can even text that number as well. So that number again is 469-864-7149. All they do is just reach out to us and say, hey, I need an advocate for this situation, or for my mom, my neighbor's struggling with this. I've got a kid that's experiencing issues, and I'm frustrated with the doctor putting him on too many medications. We get that a lot.
Right.
People are just looking for different options, and they don't even know where to start. So we say start with 60 minutes of advocacy, and that gets them going. The advocate gives them everything possible within that time frame that they purchase, and they can come back to us at any time they want more time. We've got clients that do that all the time because they have seen the results and the action that we take on situations. And I'll give you one example. One of my very in 2020, after I launched this, I was just doing it on my own, and I just love helping find solutions for people. I think it's just the nurse nature, or the mom in me. I want to fix things for people. And we had there was a nice couple within the church that we go to, and they said, hey, our kid we've been to the hospital, we've been to the emergency room 3 times last month. And on the 3rd time, they said he went every time with doubled over pain. And their kid was 5. But every time they gave him some pain medication, and then he got better, and they sent him home. On the 3rd emergency room visit, the doctor goes, you know what, I think actually he's going to need a hernia procedure. It's a pretty standard procedure. Here's some pediatrician offices to go get that done with a surgeon. So the family went, and the surgeon said, yep, we can for sure do that. That's an easy procedure. It went to the billing office, and they called the parents back and said, well, your insurance that you have isn't going to pay for that. It's actually considered an elective procedure. We don't really know the full cost of the total bill. You can appeal it if you want, but it'll probably be in appeals, and you'll probably be stuck with a $40,000 bill by the time it's done with it because insurance isn't going to cover it. And so they called me and said, hey, do you do anything about this? I said, well, yeah. I said, why are you going to use insurance? Do you need to use insurance? You want a $40,000 medical bill? They said, no. I said, great. Well, let's go cash price shopping. They said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? This isn't going to go through insurance? I said, that's the first question almost every office in America asks people. What's your insurance? And my question back to them is always, what's the real cost of that procedure?
Right,
really?
right.
What is it? And that's what people need to start asking, the really good questions, so they start to understand what are they really getting for their health care. Anyway, it took me about 5 hours. I found a pediatrician, an anesthesiologist, in a facility, and the procedure got done for $6,200. Got done weeks earlier than what insurance had it booked for, and they were in debt $40,000. So when somebody goes, oh, I got to pay for this advocacy, and I can't believe I have to pay out of pocket, I say, look, you can do it or you don't do it. We're going to teach you things that probably the typical healthcare system is never going to tell you. And when you start understanding and getting a grip around your own healthcare and engaging in it, things change. You stop being dependent on a broken system to help be there for you. Because right now, the current healthcare system is not there for people. People are walking into these hospitals, and they're being lied to. They're being mandated to do PCR swab tests that they don't want and don't need. They're being given medications that could be potentially deadly for their body.
Right.
I mean, that is a real cost. And then people don't realize their medical freedom, and they don't have an advocate that's independent and is going to stick up for you and what you want. Things change dramatically when you get in control.
Well, let's ask a different question here. Not to dog you about your stuff. I mean, it sounds like you're very, very educated in this. How does one person say, I'm feeling kind of jaded. I don't trust the system. I'm going to hire someone else that I don't trust the system to give me information about the system that I don't trust. How do they trust you?
Totally. Well, I get their frustration. I think it's a level of understanding we are not bought and paid for by the big insurance companies, right? By the big pharmaceuticals. We're not tied to any of that. The only thing we're tied to is to that person's need and what do they want to accomplish. That's who we're here for. So we look at it from a different lens because we're just not bought and paid for. I created this business out of my own, just desire to want to be able to go help people. It is a business.
Sure. Well, yeah, for sure.
I mean, people do pay for it. But I also say this. People go get really good, nice haircuts. They spend money for their haircuts and nice shoes and nice purses. And, I just say, the cost of your health care, right now, you're probably wasting a lot of money anyway. Because most people spend a good $15,000, $16,000 on a premium, and they're no better than they were the year before.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, again, I didn't want to spin you sideways on that because in my mind, it's like we're already paying these people. They're supposed to be our advocates. They aren't. We got to, we're already jaded. We're going to hire someone else to do this. And why shouldn't I feel jaded with the second person, i.e. you, to come in and say, hey, this is how we do it. I get it. You're a for-profit company, but you're not driven by big pharma. You're driven by the simple transaction of you're getting paid to do a job, and you're going to do that job. Am I on page with that?
Yep. It really is that simple. And that's the great thing about this is we can do things that the regular healthcare system doesn't do for you. So, for example, when you go to an office, right? And the doctor says, go do these things, and you've got all these tests to do. A lot of people leave the doctor's office and go, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to do next. And instead of waiting weeks to get things moving, the advocate helps them say, here's the things that are most important to start tracking down and doing. Because a lot of people are just waiting for their doctor to fix things for themselves.
For sure,
Well,
for sure.
We want people to start taking their own health care into their hands. And I will tell you, there's a shifting. A lot of people are stepping away from even the typical insurance programs. And they're starting to get really smart with their health care and do more proactive planning for their health care needs. So that's what's really exciting to see, is that shifting, that people are becoming less dependent on the big system and just dependent on their, God-given DNA, and, they're wanting to protect themselves.
Well, given the fact that 51% of the people vote for a living, and they require the 49% to pay for the 51, and the 49 still paying for the 51% of their health care, of their phone service, or for whatever we're paying for it because, we're a democratic country, and unbelievably announced to me, I just can't get past that, but we're still into that, and they're going to keep those people in power because they're giving that stuff away. Do you concur with that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, everybody likes a good handout, right? But the problem is I will tell you, people having worked in a non-for-profit hospital system for a long time, we would take, of course, anybody that would come to the doors for needs. But the problem is those people were getting less and less physicians that would even take those type of people within their office, because those systems never paid the office back sometimes for years. So the squeezing of some of these practices, they had to get really tight because they couldn't even pay their own bills. I mean, it's crazy. People oftentimes think physicians get paid a lot of money. They don't get paid that much money. That's why I'm so confused why some of these physicians are holding to some of these tyrannical protocols, and I'm like, you don't even get paid that much to even do that.
Right,
I don't even understand why you can't even think for yourselves. But again, we go back to, I can't control them, and I'm going to do my part. So should every single American or person on the globe that's saying, you know what, I've had enough of this. There is a better way, and they can start taking some of those things into their hands. I mean, we've got a society that is looking for a quick fix
every time,
or a handout. And life is, just being honest with your listeners, life is not a drive-through. And we'll have people call and say, well, can't I just, isn't there just something I can take that's just going to make everything better? Or people get very excited about ivermectin in the last couple of years. Like, ivermectin. I'm like, that's great. That's a great option. But what else are you doing besides ivermectin? Because there is a multi-drug regimen that people should be doing when they're looking at, those alternative protocols for COVID. And they get so fixated on one thing. Okay, so if we just talk about ivermectin, I said, all right, well, here's the deal. Let's just take your car, for example, and you've got a car that you need to get across town, and you've got 2 flat tires, you need oil change, and you need gas. You cannot just pump up one tire and safely get across town, especially in this heat in Dallas. You're going to be exhausted. You might die of heat stroke because you're pushing your car because you didn't do all the necessary things to make that car function. You need to fix both tires, gas and oil, to get safely across town. That's the same example as ivermectin. People got so fixated on one thing, they didn't think about the whole picture.
Sure, they missed a lot about it.
Yes. I mean, it was amazing. Or people would call and say, yeah, I'm doing this. And I'm like, wow, how much were you doing? And they're nowhere close to any of the recommended protocols.
Okay.
That we're with. I mean, anybody can look. And I'm like, so if you're actually going to do something for your health in life, you probably should do it with the right dose, right frequency, and right consistency.
Okay. Yep.
And
I'm following you. I get you. I smell what you're stepping in.
yes.
But here's a question. Now I've been throwing a lot of softballs up to this point, and this is certainly your option to answer. A lot of people say the healthcare industry is so expensive because it's litigated to the snot. Everybody's suing everybody because they want to sue, and I don't know, whatever that bull crap is. But here's my question. Your company comes in, advocates for somebody. It turns out to be a crap sandwich. Something happens to that person, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where you need to be litigated. What is that? I mean, is there special insurance? Do you cover the people? Do you cover you? How do you work that way?
Well, on initiation of services for our members, they do sign a service agreement with all of our terms and conditions on it. So, for example, somebody called, and I mean, they were in a terrible situation, and the hospital was treating them very, very bad. There was isolation. Of course, the person had been on remdesivir for a very long time. Their organs were severely damaged. The gentleman was on hemodialysis, and they called and said, "Can you get him out of the hospital? We of course we want him to live." I said, "Look," I said, "I can't guarantee if he's going to live or not. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to help advocate to get him to a better situation, but I can't guarantee that he's going to live." And my question back to those people is that doctor that's taking care of, are they guaranteeing that he's going to live? I bet not. But those people are not going to advocate for that person at all.
I see.
I mean, look, people love to get sue happy. They love litigation, and I say, great, that's a freedom you can do. I just have to stay in terms of what are we doing for medical freedom, and making sure people do know their rights. Now, we've had a lot of clients that have said, we're really frustrated, we need to find an attorney. Well, there's a lot of attorneys that aren't even taking certain types of cases at all. And people just think they can easily just go find an attorney, it's going to solve their problems. And
right.
I wish that was the case, but it's not the case. And there's some attorneys, I would say, that are better than others out there too. We've had clients where they've said, look, they've done nothing for us, and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and of course nothing came out of it. So I guess I go back to, it's a service. If people want it and they need it and they're frustrated, it's a great option for people to have your own personal advocate. We're there for when people need it. Some of our members just like having that connection to bounce off. Hey, my doctor just told me this. Does this sound reasonable to you? And sometimes it is reasonable, but having that extra person that has that background and experience say, you know what, that sounds reasonable. However, ask for these other labs and ask for this other medication and see if it's an option. And they go, what? I didn't even know I could ask that. Yeah, ask for that, because if you don't ask, you can't receive. And it gives people the extra tools and knowledge of how to ask those questions. And that's really important for people to, start moving forward in their health care instead of just getting the same, kind of the same answers as they have for years.
So my next question at this point then is this covered by insurance?
No, it's not covered by insurance. Some people have actually told us they've actually turned their claims in of the service that we provided, and their insurance company has provided like an advocacy, or they've used it through their HSA program. We of course don't do that for them. They would have to do that and see if that works for their plan. And I think that's fantastic. We know of people that would love to see this as a tax deductible type of thing that people can get in terms of legislation. And I think all of those things are great things. We're just over 2 years in business. We're a small company trying to do really big things, and we've seen some amazing results for people, and they believe in what we're doing, and I think they'll always keep coming back because we're true believers of medical freedom.
Well, I have a lot of friends at the Senate of Minnesota, and they're policymakers in the Health and Human Services direction. And maybe we need some verbiage in our state, and once a state catches on to this and they start doing this, other states want to do it, and it just kind of catches like on wildfire. So my thought is maybe we need to go in and talk to some of these people and say, hey, there needs to be a law that in this system we need to have advocates, because we have a law going now, and it's called the William Shakespeare Advocacy Law, and it's about families and members and doing this. And you should look that up. It made it to the Senate floor. We didn't get listened to last time. And it kind of talks about what you do. You're the nuts and bolts of it, and we're the how would I say it? We're the idea. We're the law. We're the people that say, okay, big HSAs, you can't do this. Here's what we're going to do. We're a right to tri-state. But it sounds like you're the peanut butter to my chocolate.
Well, I like peanut butter and chocolate.
I mean, does it sound like that?
I like helping people.
Right. Does it sound like we're on the same page of that?
Well, absolutely. They have to mirror each other up, because I think there should be options like this for everybody. Because one of the hardest part about this is when people call and they can't afford an hour of advocacy. And an hour of advocacy is $125 for 60 minutes, and that's what it is on our current pricing online. And I mean, to some people that's a lot. And what's really kind of cool, what we've set up is a membership. So we have people that will sponsor other people. So they literally will purchase a membership and say, you know what, I want to help this person out because of X problem, and I know they financially can't do it. That's really great, because we're different than insurance. Insurance usually is, a mom, dad, and their kids.
Right.
We're an advocacy membership, so you can put whoever the heck you want on the membership. We even have something we're really starting to catch on to, where we've actually gone in and provided advocacy to a business for all of their staff. All of their staff each got an hour of advocacy time. The person was able to say, hey, I've got this problem. Is there any better option we can do for this? My kid's sick. Look, that business wanted their staff to feel better and not be stressed out about COVID. We did this for a full company last year. None of their staff went into the hospital. All of them kept showing up to work because they had the tools and they understood where they could navigate with some of these options. And that was really, really cool, because some of these businesses have the EAP programs, the Employee Assistant Program, and insurance benefits, but those two programs don't do what we do with advocacy, because they're not professionals in terms of in the healthcare system.
So I'm hearing nuts and bolts. I'm hearing shots to health. How about mental health? Is that a coverage for you?
Well, I mean, I say we're not a counseling unit, but I will tell you we tend to give a lot of great mental health. A lot of us that are on the team, we come from a background of nursing, and when we were trained in nursing, right, we talk about the body, the mind, right, and spiritual components. And it is a holistic component. We can't compartmentalize, say, oh, we're only going to focus on your heart disease. No, it's like that person keeps saying they're going to die and they don't have the will to live. We've got a mental situation that we've got to try to leap over and figure out, because if that person keeps saying they're going to die, well, they might die because they're not they're struggling moving forward mentally, right? And so we don't, we're not counselors. I don't say we're counselors, but I guess people do often say, man, I really needed that advice in terms of just wrapping my head around what I need to do.
So you were there for him.
Mentally.
Yeah, you were there for him.
Yeah, we're there. Oh, for sure. I mean, we had one of our clients, her and her husband, her husband was hospitalized early this year for COVID. He's in his 90s. They've been married 67 years, and they've been members since, because she gets really, really afraid if something changes at home. with his blood pressure or his pulse ox, and he's doing great. But having that comfort of having an advocate for them to call to say, hey, his blood pressure was a little bit low. I remember the cardiac doctor saying to give the medication, but I'm afraid to give him the medication because his number was right on the same number the doctor talked about. That's really scary for a 90-year-old wife, that she's afraid she's going to impact her husband. And having an advocate with that background and knowledge can kind of help ease those concerns as to options that they can do. And that brings a great comfort to people. And I got to tell you, it probably has prevented a whole heck of a lot of hospital admissions.
And we all know that trying to call your doctor, your care provider, your clinic, your hospital, trying to get a hold of somebody down there is like trying to get a hold of our current president. He's just not there.
Yeah. You don't like call centers? I mean, doesn't everybody like call centers these days?
Yeah, we're not in the call centers. This is why this show is quite successful in many countries, because we talk about the things that no one wants to talk about. You just got to sit back and go, what are you people thinking? There's got to be some common sense somewhere. Your program sounds really common sense.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm a common sense type of gal, and I say we've already got a complex healthcare system. We don't need to make it more complex for people. We just need to get moving on the things that they need to accomplish and stop talking about the things and take action.
Let's put a fork in this. Give us your phone numbers, your access points. How do we get a hold of your company?
Yeah, so if your listeners want to write down our number, it is 469-864-7149. And they can call that number, and they can text. Again, Jennifer is who will be reaching back out to them as well. But the best way for them to do is just go to the Graith Care website. So that's www.graithcare, care.com. And if they go to the website, there's frequently asked questions on it. The pricing is on it. You'll see some of our advocates on the About Us. And most importantly, click the Enroll Now. And that will probably take about a minute to fill out. And that just gets your information to Jennifer so she can actually give you a call back and talk about what type of advocate would be a best match for you. We're kind of like the matchmakers in healthcare these days. Well,
I'm on the website now. I'm checking it out. It is quite pleasant. I see a lot of things on there. I see you got social media links. I see your email section, phone. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So
yeah.
Really, I mean, I like the idea of having to have this bank, this funding sitting aside, that if my mom needs something, if my dad needs something, whoever in the family needs something, that we can apply that towards them, correct?
That's correct. We have that happen all the time, and it just brings a sense of relief or peace to people just to know, oh man, I can just call my advocate and find out what would they do with this situation. And we want to be very, very proactive and stop reacting to everything in life. It tends to make things life a whole lot easier.
Okay, next question. My loved one's in the ER. They're asking me questions right there on the spot. It's 2 a.m. on a Sunday holiday weekend. Are you there?
Yeah, so we have actually we have launched an after-hours program as well, because of a lot of our clients do have these issues that happen to pop up on late Friday night, holidays and weekends, and so we do have an after-hours that our clients can use. So yes, we enroll people. We've had many people over the last 2 years call us from the emergency room and say, hey, can I get signed up? Because the doctor's telling me this, and I'm really scared that they're going to isolate me, and I don't even know what to say to these doctors. So we'll get them. They just get up and enrolled, and right then, and we do advocacy for them. We literally talk to their physicians with them while we're on the phone, because we can start to advocate right then and there and make sure the patient is truly informed about what this is going to look like, and to ease their concerns right there in that emergency room.
But are you the white elephant in the room? Does the physician have an attitude? What's the demeanor of the staff at the hospital or the clinic when you're on the phone and you're you're advocating for someone 2,000 miles away.
Well, I got to tell you this. That's been a very interesting experience. At first, I was really wondering how they would deal with an advocate, right? Most of the time, the physicians go, "Oh, thank you so much for explaining that to them," because we can interpret their labs and their vitals and say, "Okay, here's what's happening. Here's what's probably going to happen in the next few hours. They're just going to get some information." I mean, there's just, it eases it. The doctor goes, "Oh, this is great. Thank you so much," because they don't even communicate that well in the emergency room. We know that as nurses. They don't take the time to really understand, and that bedside nurse is running from room to room to room. They don't have time to sit there and tell the patient all the different things of what to do and say for themselves. Trust me, they don't.
Right,
I've seen it. And
right.
in these healthcare facilities, sometimes the cream of the crop has not been left in some of these hospitals. I'm just going to tell you. So we're at the bottom end of the barrel in some of these places, and that's why we want to be kind and loving, because we want to protect our patients. So we don't come in there to be bullies, anything like that. Our goal is to protect that patient and to make sure they're getting all the right level of care, and we can get them the heck out of that hospital as soon as possible as well, and get them set up for success at home. So we do have ego physicians, though. And to all of those great physicians out there that have this ego about them, that they're the end-all, be-all with whatever they say.
Yeah, the Dr. Houses of the world.
Oh, the Dr. Fauci's of the world. And we've had numerous of them. And I'll tell you, a lot of them, people probably have seen this now. Infectious disease doctors. Yeah, I'm calling you out, because infectious disease doctors have never been consulted so much in the last 2 years, more than any other time I have ever seen. And they call them ID doctors, or infectious disease. And they're getting consulted on like every case that comes through. Oh, you need infectious disease. And some of these guys, they have they've just got a one-track mind, and they stick with that protocol. They stick with whatever comes up in their algorithm on their Epic computer, and they do not deviate. And if you don't have an advocate that understands how to navigate and get you around those things, there is a way to say no and be smart about it. And you do not have to do everything that they tell you to do in these hospitals.
Right. I hope I wasn't throwing too much hardballs at you here.
I worked in the ICUs, so I really don't get too scared of pretty much anything.
Well, you worked for someone, now you're working for yourself, and it's your own company, so there's a big difference. And I didn't want to push no bad PR on that. Certainly never would do that. But these are questions that came to my mind when you were talking, and it's like, these are real questions that I would have if I was in that situation, on top of being into a situation where I'm sick, not healthy, in a hospital, scared. That's a lot to put on someone on top of this.
Yep, it is. It is. And people need that advocacy. And look, we're really super honest. I have no reason not to be honest. And I'm just sick and tired of the system that has continued to make people sick. And they don't talk about root cause. They don't go the extra mile to find solutions for people. And I'm just tired of it. And so this is my heart. This is what I'm doing. And if people want it, I say great. And if you don't want it, great. Keep doing what you're doing. But if you want us down the road, we'll still be here for you. We will still love you. And the other question, a lot of people go, well, what are you doing with, this COVID vaccination and all that? And I said, you know what? We have gotten so many calls from people that have gone to go get the vaccination, and their physician that pushed this upon them to go get, or their company who went and pushed them to go get it for their company mandate. And these people are sick. They need help, because the current system is not going to help them. Sometimes they're completely misdiagnosing these people. They're ignoring what's actually happening, and they're not even addressing the root cause of why this new cancer diagnosis, or this new autoimmune, or why this mom is infertile, or this lady's been bleeding for weeks. And people are not talking about the root cause. And every single healthcare professional understands that if we don't start talking about root cause, and we keep putting Band-Aids on things, there are going to be more and more people that are going to get sicker and sicker, and there will be a lot of death on our hands. So it is my heart we've got to do the right thing, and we've got to start turning this around, because it is going to get worse in the next handful of months because of these boosters that they keep pushing.
And we don't know what's going on with those boosters yet. There's a whole lot. There's a whole lot we don't know as a society, as a medical group, that what these boosters are doing to people.
No, we don't know. And anybody who says they do know, I would like a list of ingredients, please. I would like to know what is in all of these things. Nobody knows. There is no cure we know of. All we do know, there is mitigation strategies, and you better have a physician or a care provider that is actually talking about the root cause of the problem. If you don't, we need to find you a physician who is actually going to take care of you. And a lot of these physicians are not in the mainstream healthcare system. They are your alternative groups that are out there talking about the real issues. And that's where people are getting really frustrated, because they talk about that insurance that they've been paying for, right? And they can't even use it for things like vitamin C, glutathione, NAC. They can't even use it for some of these great things for your body. And why wouldn't an insurance company pay for those things that are very fruitful for that person's health and wellness?
It wasn't in that plan. It was the next plan.
I don't know. I have no clue. Monkeypox, moneypox. I mean, the list is going to go on. And so, I don't want to upset anybody out there, but what's really interesting is people get super, super excited about getting a diagnosis. Okay, they go, "Oh, I got a diagnosis. I finally got a diagnosis." My question to those people, okay, you got a diagnosis, but are you feeling any better?
Yeah, now what?
Now what? I mean, it's like, oh, my physician finally figured out what it was. And I'm thinking, well, who cares? What's the solution? Do you
Right.
do you have a solution? Or are you just taking something to put a Band-Aid on it? I mean, we're probably not the right fit for everybody, because we really go after things, and we unravel the years of lies that people have been told. And it's really, really important, if people want to functionally start feeling better, that they grab a hold of whatever their situation is and start saying, you know what, man, I have been doing that for a decade and I sure don't feel better. Or I've got this fibromyalgia diagnosis, and I mean, and they still don't feel better. They're walking with a walker. They're on all these narcotics. They're fatigued and exhausted. They're not even enjoying their life. I just say, is
Right.
the current system really working for you?
Well, let's hope that we can put some light on people's eyes with this one, because you've opened my eyes quite a bit, and I'm ready to sign up right now.
Well, we're here for you when you need. And the great thing about this advocacy, even if somebody signs up for 60 minutes and they only just wanted to connect with an advocate for a handful of minutes and said, okay, great, I know who you are. When something pops up, I'm going to reach back out to you. Fine, you can do that. We have a lot of our members that have a ton of time in their bank, and they know we're here for them when they need. And that is a peace of mind that I know that our clients love. And that's what we're here for. Let's start doing something different for people. And I really believe that this is a game changer.
Well, I certainly believe as well. So we should also put you as a sponsor on this show, because I'll tell you what, we get a lot of traffic cross country, across the globe, across everywhere. We're in 3 languages, 51 countries, 45 million followers, and that's a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep. And what's great is, I mean, we're growing so much. I mean, we're up 300% right now, because people are just sharing what we're doing and helping. We even have physicians that hand out our information and said, hey, you need an advocate, go to Graith Care. And people are really starting to get it in terms of what to do. So we don't care what part of the globe they're on. We don't care what part of the healthcare issue they have. We want to say, come to us. Let's see if we have an advocate match for you, and let's go to work. Let's get something done.
Okay, one more time. We are 39 minutes, 21 seconds into the second segment. Give us that number again and website real quick.
Yeah, so the website is graithcare.com. That's GRAITH care, CARE.com. And our number is 469-864-7149. That's 864-7149. You can call. When you call, you will leave a message. Jennifer will call you back. And if you text, you'll get back a response, and that way we can help you with next steps. But we love our clients. We love everybody who's sharing about Graith Care. And this is a small business with a really big heart and mission, and we love what we do.
Well, we appreciate you coming in, Priscilla. Thank you very much for taking your time and viewing my listeners and informing my listeners to what is really going on in the world. I just, wow, thank you very much. So for Hutcast, we want to say farewell, and Priscilla, thank you very much again.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Hutcast is signing off here. We appreciate you, and all the listeners out there, we really much appreciate you talking and saying, and the feedback's been phenomenal. The Russian guys, I'm trying to keep up with you. I can't get my translator to work properly. I'm getting some pretty weird messages, but hey, I do. You're hearing me, and thank you for listening. So Hutcast signing off.
And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.